All right. Well, today is the 30th of November, 2023. And I thought since it's a Thursday evening, I should probably come on and do a little something. Now, I know that the grand debate is tonight between Newsom and DeSantis. Gee, I can hardly wait. Interesting how this political game has worked, isn't it? Got my badass coffee cup tonight, but all I'm drinking is water. Hello, everyone. As you come in, hey Walter, how you doing? Tammy Keller, Watchman News, McJeep, I guess. Carrie Richardson, hi, 5 by 5 good to know. A different kind of Heyoka, I like that. Howdy. And hello to everyone as you come in. I'm glad to see it's up and running. Like I say, I'm in kind of a feisty mood tonight, so I haven't had this out for a while. I think the last time I showed this on camera was like last summer sometime, or maybe even in the spring. Uh, there's a place in Salt Lake City. It's actually in West Jordan, I think. It's still in the Salt Lake Valley, and it's called Badass Coffee Company. And it's around in a lot of places, but we only have one now in Salt Lake. We used to have two, and I don't think there's another one in Utah. But they have great coffee. If you're in Salt Lake and you want to drop by for a nice atmosphere, a nice place to sit and talk with friends and have some good coffee and some nice little snacks. Badass Coffee Company on 7800 South, I believe it is, and about 11th West, somewhere in there. It's on the north side of the road, kind of tucked down into some condominiums there. But if you're looking for it, you'll see it. So I just thought I'd tell you I'd bring this out today. And from the thumbnail, you can probably tell I'm going to talk about something a little different tonight, and I am. Uh, some light things, some serious things, and we're going to open it up to the chat as well. I will take some of those. You love badass fam. I love badass fans. Monica. Okay, thanks. All right. The first thing I want to say, however, is that it's really necessary that I bring up that I must be getting censored like crazy. Uh, I don't want to make it sound like, I've got, important things and that somebody's trying to suppress what I have to say. But I think I have important things and somebody somewhere is apparently trying to suppress things that I'm trying to say. Now, that shouldn't surprise anybody. It's happening to a lot of us. YouTube has not been real kind to me. I've been censored numerous times, uh, suspended numerous times, and I think it's obvious pretty much now. I don't look for numbers, as most of you know. I don't care about how many followers I have or clicks or things like that. But I do get concerned when I put something up that I consider to be fairly important, and it's very contra establishment. The Common Sense Show, Dave Hodges. What happened there? Truly sadness. What happened on that? Can somebody tell me? I don't know anything. I know who Dave Hodges is. He's interviewed me a couple of times. The Common Sense Show. Did he get censored too now? Did he get shoved off? Is that what you're saying? Maybe you can let me know. And if I don't see it in the chat, I'll try to find out a little later. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Anyway, I don't really pay attention to a lot of they kicked him off YouTube. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. And I think that's going to get worse. It doesn't surprise me at all. Uh, Dave's a good guy. He's done a lot of good work. And, I suppose what it's coming down to, a lot of people are jumping over onto Rumble, and I have an Odyssey account, as you know. But they're going to get it at the Google level eventually, and they're going to shut us all down unless Congress does something. They're investigating right now. I was listening to the Wyoming representative, Representative Hageman today when she was interviewing. It was probably a day or so ago, but it was recorded when she's interviewing Taibbi and Schellenberger and another lady about the government trying to get around the First Amendment by using proxies, companies and things like that to silence us. And unless they can come out with something with some real teeth, I think it's just going to get worse. Of course, in Europe right now, it's really, really bad. They've got it so now, especially in Ireland, for instance, where you can't even put up a meme that they consider bad, and they consider it hate speech if you say I don't like little kids getting stabbed by immigrants, right? They're now having that's what's bad, and they want to control, not the fact that there are criminal things going on in the streets, and they don't have the least bit of interest in protecting anybody from that. That shows you how far down we go. Our governments don't protect us anymore. We hire these governments, we put them into power, etc., to take care of us. I know they're taking care of everybody else in the world but us. And as a matter of fact, they're very much against us. And I've explained that for a long time. I have a whole corruption series on the FBI, right? A playlist on this channel. Anyway, getting back to the subject at hand. So I put up a video the other day that I thought was absolutely important from a variety of viewpoints, and it's the last video that you'll see before this video here. It's on the live tab on my channel. It's just before this one, and it's called A Short Admonition Against Women in the Military. Now, this is a highly charged, political correct subject. And I know that. And a lot of people probably don't want it. And I understand that. I think it's wrong that you don't want, I'm not saying you all, but that people don't want to have a little information on this and realize how really evil and bad this is, despite what, the establishment and women's groups and, woman power and all that says. But my purpose in the video was actually to show from the Torah perspective that Israel shouldn't be engaged in having women in the military. It's against Torah, and yet they do it. Another proof that Israel is not the nation of God on the earth today as they try to claim. And I went through some scriptures in Torah. It wasn't exhaustive by any means, but it was enough to show you and whoever else that this idea of putting women in the military is contrary to everything that righteous men should stand for. And again, it's in violation of Torah. So I did this because I had done some other communications with rabbis and the IDF and Mossad, even some of these things, telling them how bad this is, and that here's another proof that they're not who they say they are. Well, chances are they probably put a, "Hey, Roosevelt, how you doing?" They probably likely had something to do with this particular video not going very far. But what I say in there, even though I'm applying it primarily to the Israeli situation, it's really true mankind-wide. It's really true mankind-wide. When you, like in Ukraine right now, the Russians are finding women killed on the battlefield. Even, I guess they even found a pregnant one there. When a nation resorts to that, that nation is no longer worth defending, because what are you defending? What? For instance, in Ukraine, you defending Zelensky? You're certainly not defending the people of Ukraine anymore. You're killing them all. And the same goes with what's going to happen very shortly in Israel, and already has happened to some extent. And I won't rehash that here tonight, but I've got a favor to ask all of you, okay? And I don't normally ask this, but on this particular situation, I am going to ask that you go back to that video when we're done here, and I'll try to remind you when we're done. Please go back to that video. Again, it's the one just before this one on the live tab. A short admonition against women in the military. Even if you feel, I know I have, there's several women vets that follow me, maybe even some active duty ones here, and they probably don't like this. Well, tough shit, okay? Tough shit, all right? I'm trying to protect all your sisters that don't want to be dragged into this thing, okay? Because when you go out there and you do these things for the military, they then turn around and use that as an excuse to conscript all women. Do you understand that when you go in the military and you're a woman and you do that, you're actually putting all the other women in danger. Do you really understand what you're doing? Well, that's what you're doing. Okay? That's what you're doing. All right? And I'm going to call it out. I'm not saying I disrespect your time there, okay? But you made a mistake, okay? You made a mistake. And this includes Tulsi Gabbard, too. And one of the reasons why I've been on her, of course, is because I think that's really what she's up to, is trying to push that whole narrative about women in the military. Now, she's done some really bad stuff lately about this thing in Ukraine and in Israel and some other things. So I think her true colors are coming out. It looks like I was right about her. It's too bad because she was saying all the right things. But, it's like, rhetoric doesn't matter. It's not what you say, it's what you do, right? Actions speak louder than words. And so, again, talking about this particular video, if you don't want to, that's fine. But I'm going to ask you to go back after this video here's over, after we're done with this live stream. Go back to that video, again, on the live tab. It's just before this one, and it's called A Short Admonition Against Women in the Military. Please share it and like it, please, please, because they're probably going to tell me that it's just because nobody's sharing it, nobody's liking it, so it's not getting exposure. Well, no, I can't believe that. This topic has got to be of concern to people one way or the other. And to only have, I think it has like 3,000, maybe close to 4,000 views now. And frankly, it should have 20, 30, 40,000. And that's not for me. Okay? That's because I forwarded this thing to Jewish rabbis, to the chief rabbi of Israel, to several mullahs, okay, in the Islamic religion, to a lot of Christian ministers, to the IDF, to the Secretary of Defense of our country. I mean, I've sent it everywhere. And yet, 4,000 views? Is it really people are just going to shuck it aside because, he's a misogynist, he's a sexist? No, I'm a man. I'm responsible to protect women. That's how I look at it. Okay? That's the way it's going to be. All right? But what we really need now is to call out Israel for what it isn't, what it claims to be and what it isn't. And that video expressly explains in just this one detail why they are violating Torah and can't possibly be God's nation of ancient Israel redivivus, resurrected, restored. Not possible, okay? And it's evil anyway, what they're doing. So again, please go back to that video, like it and share it and send it around, and ask the people when you send it out, please share this. If you send it out on your emails, on your X, on your whatever accounts you have, Gab, I don't care, here, just when you send it out, when you share it on my channel there, and when you like it, when you share it, ask them please to also share it and like it. And again, this isn't really for me. I'm not looking for the clicks. I want the message to get out there. I want people to be held responsible for these wars that they're causing. Again, I'm not taking sides on this, okay? This whole thing in the Middle East, as far as I'm concerned, as I put up here, about 2 weeks ago? It's a family feud, right? That's really what it is. It's a horrible thing, all the people that are being maimed and killed and their properties taken and all this other stuff. It's absolutely horrible. It's the Hatfield and McCoys on steroids. I'm not taking sides. I understand each side, but I'm particularly upset at, and they're both Semitic, by the way. Arabs are Semitic. And I'm really sick and tired of hearing, anti-Semitic, and they're only applying it to the Jews. No, it's to any Semite. And the Arabs are Semites, and I've explained that. But anyway, so I'm not saying yay this side or yay that side, but I am concerned about what Israel's doing, because it's presented to the world that it's this magnanimous, God-driven group of people that have taken their land back after all these years, and that's just not true. Okay, so I come down really hard on Israel and what they're doing. No, I don't. What has happened on the other side with Hamas? That's wrong too. You cannot call a military operation when you're out there targeting unarmed women. You just can't do it. And I said that from the start. Scott Ritter, of course, he he takes the view that it was just a military operation, that there was no terrorism involved, and I disagree. It was a military operation, but as he did point out with Judge Napolitano, I think it was yesterday, for Hamas not to control their area of operation and to allow people to come over from the Gaza Strip there and do what they did, shoot these unarmed people, take revenge and all that, that really is on Hamas. No matter how you feel about this thing one way or another, uh, it was wrong for them not to control that to a better degree than they did. I do not go along with killing innocent men, women, or children, but particularly women and children. And when I say innocent, they're unarmed, they're just trying to escape, they're just trying to live their lives. And the same thing with the bombardment of Gaza Strip. It's the same thing. Israel is being wicked. They're violating Loratzak. They're killing the innocent, and they're trying to justify it because God told them to go to war. No, he didn't. It's a lie. All right? All right. Well, that's the end of that. Again, please go back to the previous video. And a short admonition against women in the military. Like it and share it, and ask people that you share it with to get it out there. It really needs to go. And if you know any rabbis, if you know any ministers, I sent it to Joel Osteen. I sent it to Hagee. I sent it to Franklin Graham. A lot of different people. I sent it to Glenn Beck. He's not a religious thing. He's basically a commentator. But I sent it to a lot of news agencies too, and it looks like it's been squashed. Okay. Even on my account on Twitter, when I put it there, it looks like it's been squashed. Too important to let it sit there and not get out. So I appreciate anything you can do there to help me out. All right, help the world out. Help women out. Okay. I mean, look at it, ladies and gentlemen. They always said, "Oh, we got to protect women. We got to protect women." They passed all these equal rights laws, power to women, women power, and all this stuff. And then they have guys dressed up as women competing in women's sports. Who really cares about the women? Not the people that are pushing this bullshit. Okay. Talking about that, four-letter words. What do you think of Musk? I'm still not sure about him. I mean, I can understand him playing a little politicking. I can understand that. So I'm reserved on where he really is right now. I'm not really sure what he's up to. But I really liked the way he handled that interview the other day. I thought that was great. What was it, yesterday? He said, look, if you're going to try to bribe me with money, GFY, right? And I agree. So good on him for that. I hope that he is a stalwart for liberty and a stalwart for peace. One of my mantras is, and it's actually a quote from a very particularly important place: proclaim peace, not war. War is a racket, just like General Smedley Butler said back in the 30s and 40s. He was a Marine Corps general who received a Congressional Medal of Honor, and he even admitted that's what it is. And of course, the United States, that's all it's been. It's been empire building, and we're causing all these destabilizations everywhere. And we do the bidding of other nations that we shouldn't. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to be easy on that one, okay? We take care of everybody else, but we don't take care of our own. And according to the scriptures, a man, and that would include a nation, that does not take care of his family is an infidel. So our leaders, our governments are infidels all through the West. All through the West. Okay, before we get to the chat, you're probably wondering what the thumbnail was about. Rough Rider 22. What are you talking about, Potter? What are you talking about? Well, I don't go out and buy guns very often. I think I've done it a couple times. Back when I was telling everybody they needed to get an AR-15, I didn't have one. I didn't really want a military-style weapon. I did that for 28 years, and I don't like destruction. I don't like killing and all that. But self-defense is legitimate. Hunting is legitimate. And, protecting your loved ones is legitimate. So I was telling everybody to defy all the gun control efforts that were going on then and continue now. And I went out and I bought an AR-15 and I showed it on camera on my channel here. Well, about a week ago, I found out that these things right here were on sale. Out here in the West, I think you have them all over the United States, but particularly out west here. You have a store that's called Sportsman's Warehouse. I'm kind of doing a plug for them, but not officially. I'm not getting paid for this. But I understand these revolvers have been around for a long time. It's funny. Again, I haven't been to gun stores that much and all that. And I didn't realize that these had been around. I'm aware of Ruger and Colt and, Uberti and all these different types, but I didn't know about this. This is made in the United States. I'm going to show it to you here in a minute. But believe it or not, everybody should have a 22 pistol or rifle. You really should. I did also a video, I think it was about a year or two ago, about having a small game pellet gun, right, that would also shoot BBs. That's important too for small game, pest control, things like this. This is kind of a step up, and they're only 120 bucks. $120 for this particular. I'm going to take it out of the box here so you can see it in just a minute. But I think anybody could afford that on any budget they have. Okay, and I'm not saying it's the best self-defense weapon. A 22 is not, but it's better than, fisticuffs. And you can practice a lot with it because it's not going to be expensive, and you can do small game hunting if you need to. For instance, in a lot of Western states, with a small game license, you can go out and hunt rabbits or squirrels with these. So let me take it out of the box. Let me show it to you. It's really a nice little piece. I can't believe it. For $120. There it is right there. Let me put it up against the white so you can see it really well. Can you see that? It's really amazing. It's all steel. There are a couple of plastic parts like this little tool that's on right here. I think you can see that little thing right there. That's for knocking out the shells after you shoot. Now, you need to read the instructions. If you've never shot a single action Western style revolver, you need to understand how to do that. So don't just pick this up and think you can go out and start shooting it without learning all the safety aspects and how to operate it. But I'm going to go through some of that here with you so that you know, okay? Really good piece. Again, 120 bucks. Some places as low as 100 on sale. It's a 6-shot, okay? I'm going to open it up here and I'm going to show you that it's unloaded, okay? Here we are. All right, so we're going to bring this back to a half-cock position. That's what you do with single-action revolvers. And I'm just going to rotate this. And you're going to see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, go 7, 8, just to make sure. There are only 6 cylinders, but we're making sure nothing's in there. So it's safe. There's no round in there, okay? And there are no rounds anywhere close to me, all right? In addition to that, checking that, there's also, unlike most single-action revolvers, there's a safety mechanism right here. Let me see if you can see this. It's going to be kind of hard. Let's see. It's right here on this side. All right, it's right here. Right now, it's on safe, okay? There's no way that pushing that trigger that's going to fire, okay? But if we want to fire it, we got to take this safety off, and you'll notice that there's a little red dot in there. I think you can see that little red dot. So here this is. This is going up. That's on safe. It won't fire. This is pulling it back, and now you have a little red dot. That means that what happens is when this is up, and this little safety is up, there's a little transfer bar in there. You can't see it very well, but it comes up and it blocks this hammer from making contact with the firing pin. I'll kind of show that to you here. See, when it comes down, it doesn't go all the way down. You see that? You see how there's a space in there? Now when the safety's off, it makes contact all the way down and forces that firing pin forward. You see the difference? So when you store this thing, or when you're carrying it in the field, and it's okay to carry it, most single actions, you don't want to carry it with all 6 chambers full. You want to keep the one under the firing pin empty. But this one, it's okay to carry it with all 6 as long as you have this safety on, because it blocks the hammer from hitting the firing pin, okay? That's the first thing, all right? So we know we're safe. The second thing is that there's a loading port, and I kind of showed you that already. This is how you load it, is right here. You open up this little port right here, okay? And you take your little 22, and this is chambered for 22 long rifle. You can buy extra cylinders for 22 Winchester Magnum rimfire as well, which are a lot more powerful. This shoots, a long rifle cartridge shoots, in this particular gun, It'll shoot a 40 grain bullet at about at this size barrel, probably about 1,000 to 1,100 feet per second. In longer barrels, it can get up to about 1,300 feet per second. Okay, a Winchester Magnum rimfire round is a 40 grain jacketed bullet, and it's going to come out of here. You're kind of wasting it with this barrel, but you're still getting some extra energy. It's probably coming out of this barrel around 14 to 1,500 feet per second. Out of a longer barrel, say a rifle or that type of thing, you're going to get up to 1,800 to 2,000 feet per second. Excellent small game and varmint cartridge. So anyway, you're going to load this that way. You're going to go ahead and open this up there. You make sure the safety's on. And you're going to put the shells in here like this. You bring this back to a half-cock position. Let me show you that again because that's really important to understand. It's 1, 2, then there's a 3 and a 4. And this allows the cylinder to rotate. And then you can load the shells. All right, and once you're done with that, you can go ahead and lower that hammer on that safety, that hammer block, so you can carry it like this. And then when you want to shoot it, all you do is of course, we got to close the gate there so the cartridges won't fall out. You go ahead and this isn't a double action. You have to pull that hammer back every time to fire it. You see that? Let me show you again this way. Just like the Old West, you got to pull that back every time you want to fire it. After you fired, say, all 6 shots, again, you come back to the half cock, you put it on safety, and then you open up this port, and then this little lever I showed you on this other side right here, this one right here, when this is open, you just shove that back. I think you'll be able to see it come out. Let's see if you can. See that? That shoves the round out. So you rotate that and you shove the other one out. Rotate that, shove the other one out till you get rid of all of them. And then you can reload it. All right? Close the gate there. And then you can set that down while it's on safe onto that transfer bar, carry it around with you if you want. It would probably be okay carrying it concealed too if you're in a state where you can either constitutional carry or you have to have a CCW or a license or whatever. Yeah, I disagree with having to be licensed, but that's another issue altogether. It's small enough you could actually do that in this configuration. This is a 4 3/4 inch barrel. They also make it in a 6.5, so it's a little longer. It's about out to here, and that one's a little better for hunting, serious target shooting, although it's not the best target shooter. I'll show you why in a minute. And also for small game hunting, especially with the Winchester Magnum rimfire. And I won't bother to show you how to change this cylinder out. It's a separate cylinder for the Winchester Magnum rimfire. You actually take this cylinder out and then you put the new one in. But you can look that up online if you get one of these, and I'll show you. It's real easy. You basically just depress this little pin right here, if you can see it. There's a little pin right there. And then this pin pulls out, and you take the port and open it up, and you just push the cylinder out and then put the new one in. And you got to take a little time to kind of make sure everything lines up, and then the pin can go back in and everything works right, and then you can do a function check. All right. But all that you can find out if you decide to get one of these. The only drawback that I see to this is it has only iron sights, and you can see that here. There's no adjustable rear sight here. Let me bring this back a little bit so you can see a little better. What you've got is a V-notch rear sight right here. It's right into the frame of right into the receiver of the revolver, and then that blade front sight. That's all you have. I've already shot this. Took it to the range. It was an indoor range, and you know, I was still able to hit an 8-inch plate diameter, 8-inch diameter plate at about 50 yards with this. I had to adjust my hold a couple of times, you know, because the first couple you're not sure where it's going to hit. But then windage and elevation, and I was able to pretty much consistently hit it. That's pretty good. The furthest you're probably going to want to use this is 50 feet, okay? Maybe 100 feet at the most. But it depends all on the type of load you're using and your own personal experience and ability level. So I think I've shown you all the major things about it. Again, my gosh, you know, $100. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I don't want to take a bear on with this or a cougar or anything like that. But a guy coming through who's come through the front door and wants to do you some harm, you load this up with 22 hollow points, long rifle hollow points. Um, it's they're gonna think twice just from the noise. Okay. Um, Again, because it's chambered for 22 long rifle, and 22 you have 22 long rifles. They're about that long. Then you have 22 longs. They're a little shorter. Then you have 22 shorts, and they're little tiny things. This will shoot the 22 shorts, the 22 longs, and the 22 long rifles. With the change in the cylinder, it will also fire a 22 Winchester Magnum rimfire, and they're about that long. Okay, the casing's longer, has a lot more power. Like I said, almost double what a 22 long rifle does. So there you are. Again, it's called the Heritage. Let me get this out here so you can see it. It's called the Heritage Rough Rider. There's the side of the box. Okay, Rough Rider revolver. There's the front. And I think this is the typical box they use for all their products now, except for the really long barrel bunt lines and things like that. They might have a slightly different box if you go pick it up. And I'm sure all your sporting goods stores have access to this. It's been very popular. And again, I wasn't even aware of it until I walked in and they said, "Oh yeah, have you seen this?" I said, "Well, how long have they had those out?" And the sales guy says, "Hey, they've been out for 15 years, something like that." I said, "Really? I didn't have any idea." But of course, the recoil in a little 22 like this, especially with as heavy as this is, it's almost all steel. Like I said, there are a few plastic parts on this one. The grips, you can get wood grips if you want. The little tang here for using the ejector is plastic, but the ejector itself is metal. And they say that this side port is steel, but I'm not sure. It may be, but I think it's actually plastic. But either way, it works real well. $100, man, you can't beat it. And talk about the Old West. There's that sound. Here, let me let you hear this. Listen to this. Isn't that neat? Works just like the Old West guns. $100, everybody. In some places, 120. I think the normal price is 120, but I've seen it as low as 100. Okay, and if you want to, it also comes in a configuration where you can buy the second cylinder that's chambered in 22 Winchester Magnum rimfire, and it's about another $35 or so on, I guess, plus shipping and handling. But it'd be worth it to be able to shoot the Winchester Magnum rimfires if for some reason that's all you have, or you just want a little extra range and power. Okay, a lot of fun. You can go out and really enjoy this. Remember to keep the muzzle always pointed up and down range in a safe direction. Keep the safety on at all times, except when you're right ready to shoot, and then you can take it off, and then you can go ahead and cock that thing back, and you're ready to go. Okay, there you are. I thought I'd show you that tonight. I hope you enjoyed that little demonstration. I encourage you, despite what Biden's trying to do to take away everybody's arms, and he says, "I'm not trying to take away anybody's arms. We just don't need magazines of 20, 30 rounds, whatever. You don't need that." Really? With what they're doing to undermine us and to come against our rights, and then allow criminals to have free access to us practically, and the cops are never there when you need them. How do I know? I was one. I was never where the action was until after it happened, unless I was really, really proactive, and then it was usually on something only like an assault or maybe a burglary. I had a couple situations where I walked in on an assault. I won't bore you with those. It was kind of interesting, though. Yeah, I won't go into it. And a couple of burglaries, and I'll tell you about those. So I'd go around at night and had a spotlight on my police car, and I'd be checking, windows and doors, and I come up on this, of all things, a shoe store. I won't even give you the name of the company. It's a shoe store. A shoe store, and the front door has been forced open. You can see splinters and things are broken. I'm going, what? So I call for a backup, and They arrive, and I have them wait outside in case somebody tries to leave, or that so we cut them off. And I went inside, and I did find the intruder, the burglar, and she was like 6'1", you know. Uh, I told her to get down, stealing shoes. She had a Volkswagen um, Bug outside that she had already put some shoes in. She's stealing shoes, women's shoes, I guess. And so I tell her to get down, do all the things you do to, so you can come up and put them in a hold position. And I grabbed the hand. It's the way you do. You grab the hand and you twist it around behind him. And I said, "This is a guy," and it was. It was like a 230-pound dude, and he dresses up as a woman, and he's out stealing women's shoes. Anyway, the other burglary that I came in on, again, these are without alarms. Most burglaries, when they happen and they set off an alarm, the cops come after the alarm goes off. So I was finding these before the alarm went off. All right. The second one that I did, well, actually, there's several more, but these are the two interesting ones. I came up on a drugstore, and again, I was looking at the front door, and it was busted. The glass was busted out, and so I figured they must have gone out the back door. So I swing around, and I hear a car start. Sure enough, there's the suspect. He's come out the back door, and he takes off, and I'm right behind him. And he hadn't checked his escape route. Yeah. So he went down a dead end street, and I blocked him off and took him out, and his pockets were full of drugs. Cuffed him up and all that, and I had my backup finally arrive and all that, and we go back to the store, and what he had done is he had broken the front door, glass on the front door, and only a couple of, maybe a half a minute or a minute before I actually came by, and had gone down through the glass storage bins and had smashed them and just grabbed stuff and stuffed them in his pockets. So there was a whole trail of pills that he was dropping all the way out to where his car had parked. And of course, a whole bunch of them were on the floor of his car. So, I mean, he was dead to rights, so that's the story of two burglars. But at any rate, so you never know, right? You never know what you're going to run into. Well, enough war stories for now. Okay, so a couple things of concern. Right now, of course, the prisoner exchange swap, the hostage exchange swap has gone back and forth. It's real interesting to watch the news media on this in Israel because, the Jewish hostages, the Israeli hostages. Well, yeah, I'm very upset that hostages were taken, period. That's not the kind of business I like. But what we're not hearing are all the prisoners that are in Israel, thousands of them, which is one reason why Hamas did this, to have bargaining chips. Again, I'm not saying that taking hostages is justified. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that we're hearing about all these Israelis that are finally being united with their families. God thankful, we're thankful to God for that. But not much about the swap from the Israeli side. Little boy with his part of his arm blown off. He's been in an Israeli prison for I don't know how long. Men and women who had just stood against. You remember Tiananmen Square, right? The guy who was standing in front of a tank, that kind of thing, and they throw him in prison. They beat him. If you're not watching these things on X, go to my account. There are a lot of this is on my account, which is another reason why they want to stop Elon Musk from allowing free speech, because it's an open news source. Yeah, there are crazies on there that are promoting violence and lies. Sure, there are, but there are a lot of us, like myself, that we try to do a fairly good job, and I think we do. A lot of us, and we show these things that are happening. Israeli police beating up Orthodox Jews who don't agree with the Zionists and what they're doing to the Palestinians. And there's a lot of that. I told you about Torah Jews and Torah Judaism on X that I follow. And so it's at Torah Jews. That's one, and the other is at Torah Judaism. And basically, they show you how the Israeli forces, police, Mossad, et cetera, beat up and imprison these Jews who are against Zionist atrocities. But of course, we don't hear much about that in our regular news media. We have, a lot of pro-Palestinian rallies and pro-Israeli rallies going on around the world right now. But interestingly enough, the ones that they don't show are the ones where Jews, are dressed up in their Jewish clothes. I mean, it's real obvious, are demonstrating against Zionist Israel and what they're doing to the Palestinians. Basically, I saw somebody trying to argue that this doesn't this isn't a definition of genocide. Well, yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, it is. Um, and I'm not saying that certain Arabs wouldn't do it to the Israelis if they had a chance. I'm not saying that. I'm not going there tonight. That's not my purpose. My purpose is just to say that, as usual, we never get the whole story. It's always bent, right? I noticed that Jackson Hinkle. Uh, there's a follower I just got. She just started following me. Um, and I won't mention her. I don't know if she'd appreciate that, but she started following me, and one of the things that concerned me was Jackson Hinkle, of course, is always talking about the benefits of communism, Stalin and that stuff, and I'm going, that's the one thing about it, and I understand where he's coming from, but that's one thing where he and I would have a little rough going. But other than that, he's very competent. Does a very good job on reporting and gathering information. It's quite entertaining to watch. But when he said this stuff about communism, this lady who was following me, well, actually she wasn't following me yet. I posted to her when she said, "This is the one thing about him that I really question," and then I agree. And so I retweeted that, reposted it, and then she followed me, and then I realized here just today that Jackson, I guess, was invited to Mexico, and he got a prestigious award for covering the wars. I think primarily in Israel right now. So congratulations to Jackson for that. He's taken a lot of flack, and like Elon Musk, everybody's coming after him, just like they are, a lot of us. So anyway, the situation in Israel is probably going to go down in a bad way. As I gave my information on Netanyahu some time ago, I said he was a crook, a corrupt politician, and a crook. He thinks he's a messiah figure, as I explained in a video where I explained what his name was and the name change that their family went through. He's actually the one that's endangered Israel. If anybody has, he has. And his policies and what he's done to a lot of innocent people, both Arab, Palestinian, and Israeli. And I'm not going to go into all that tonight. A lot of it has to do with kind of the sickness over the last 3 years, kind of that kind of stuff. But even more than that, he took away their weapons not too long ago because I think he was afraid they might use them on him. It's not a Second Amendment type protection, but a lot of people in Israel carried weapons, and then they stopped that. Now, of course, the defense minister is now giving the civilians back guns. It's just the whole thing is a joke. It just shows you how corrupt that Netanyahu is, and the political parties by and large in every nation, but particularly in Israel. And I could get into some other details on that. But Scott Ritter, Brian Berletic, the Duran, Alex Christoforou, Alex McCurris, Colonel Douglas McGregor, who is off and on Judge Napolitano's program. Those people give you a real good. Nobody's 100% in their estimates of the situation and their analyses, but you get some good facts from those people, and they've been right on. Certainly better than that so-called Admiral John Kirby in the White House, who's the spokesman up there on these different matters. That guy, I've never seen such a wimpy admiral in my whole life. I guess there have been some, but he's he takes the cake, I got to admit. So anyway, there are other people out there giving you the rundown on what's happening in these wars and situations. course, we said when this thing in Ukraine started back 2 years ago, we said that Russia was going to kick ass, kick NATO's ass, and that's exactly what's happened militarily, politically, economically, um, in every possible way. As a matter of fact, they've actually restrained themselves. The Russians have restrained themselves to an unbelievable degree. They've even when they realized that women were on the battlefield getting injured and killed, they've even tried to manage that so that it's not as bad. But Ukraine keeps feeding them out there, old men, even old women. That country is not worth defending. And I think, as I've said for a long time, the whole purpose of this Ukrainian war is to empty out Ukraine of white Christians. We could discuss why. Probably better not do it here. I might have to do that. I've kind of alluded to it in other videos, but the proper place to do that would be on where I have that other account on Odyssey. The problem with Odyssey is nobody knows I'm there, or very few do. So anyway, I saw Roosevelt here a few minutes ago say that a lot of these people have given the Abrahamic religions a bad name, and I agree. Okay, I agree. But by the same token, just so you know, I have been very critical of of the um, of the Abrahamic situation. Very critical of it. I just answered a person today about the situation with how we should read the Bible, and are there codes in there, and do we just read it at a literal level, or all those. And I explained, and I said, it's been manipulated, and all of you know I've talked about this. Despite the Bible thumpers that demand that it's the ineffable Word of God, there are real problems with it, and there are problems with the Quran. And I freely talked about all those. I won't get into that tonight, but yeah, the bad people really do give the rest of us a bad name, and that's unfortunate. But I came out a little while ago and I said, I don't trust any of these Abrahamic religions. I reject them all. The religions, the institutional religions, I reject. And I think most of you know that. Time for a drink here. Oh, I don't want to keep you from watching the great debate tonight either, so we're not going to go very long here. All right, let's see if I can. Oh, let's not forget, Klaus Schwab and the WEF are still pushing. Take away your property, take away your lives, reduce the population, all that kind of stuff, right? You got the banks. Banks are failing all over the place. If you're not paying attention, you need to. There's a guy on YouTube called I Allegedly. If any of you follow him, he's a really good guy. He's probably a little younger than me. I don't know, somewhere in there. And again, it's called I Allegedly. That's how you'd look him up on YouTube. And he gives you these financial little synopses. Lasts usually about 15, 20 minutes. It seems about that. He usually gives you some views of like marinas, scenic areas while he's walking. And he always starts off by saying, I got a good one for you today. It's just great. So if you're listening to me, I Allegedly, I appreciate your work. And I'm promoting it a little bit. Anyway, he's talked about that a lot of these retail chains, of course, are falling apart. Even some of the online type things are having problems. He actually says that he went into his bank account one day. He didn't tell me what bank he had. At least I don't remember him saying which bank he's in. But he was missing $150,000. The bank just took it. Yeah, and if you remember, we talked about that. It's called bank ins instead of bank bailouts. It's bank bail-ins instead of bank bailouts. We talked about that about a year ago, I think. And here we go. He had $150,000 removed from his account. And that's happened to a lot of other people too. Maybe not those amounts, but something similar. So all of this is still happening. They're still poisoning your food and your water and all that. You need to do everything you can to get ready. I know we can't totally pull out of the system, but do the best you can. Pull out as much as you can. Okay. I don't think there's anything else specifically I could talk about right now other than going along with the Rough Rider. You see what's happening at the southern border. You see how These are all military age men coming over here, and our country's allowing them in without vetting them. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. Okay, let's take a look. Jesse at BP Earthwatch is here. Oh, thank you, Jesse. Jesse at BP Earthwatch just posted on the chat. I allegedly. You must follow him, Jesse. That figures. I think he's a great guy. I don't know why I can't remember his name right now, but a great guy. I really really like him. I could tell you some stories about the area he lives in that I had some adventures down there, but I'll refrain. Uh, I almost ended up in cement boots in that area from some really nasty people that were trying to get me. Um, yes, BP Gloria, you're right. BP Earthwatch is beautiful music. I was listening. Thank you for reminding me. I should have thanked Jesse for that. He's been putting out some great stuff. I really appreciate it. Maybe one of these days he and I can get together, and I don't know when that would be. Um, Maybe play some music together, and Walter too, for that matter. BP says I am sub to his channel. Roy, good info. Yeah, that's I allegedly, and he is. It's always up to date, and he's always got good information. What debate, Roosevelt, between Newsom and DeSantis? It starts at 9 o'clock Eastern time, which is why I'm going to get off of here, so you guys have a chance to get ready to go watch it, should you so choose. I know, to be responsible, I probably ought to watch it, but frankly, I'm so tired of hearing BS and then nothing ever happens. And of course, with Newsom, you know he's coming after you and he's coming after your First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment. He's coming after your property. He's coming. Look what he's done to California. Newsom's bad, but none of them are good. We just had a vote in Congress, in the House of Representatives, to equate Zionism with anti-Semitism, and they are not the same. Anti-Zionism is not the same as anti-Semitism, but they keep trying to conflate those two, bring them together, and they had a resolution. Every member of the House of Representatives voted for the resolution to bring it in except one person. Does anybody know who the one person was? The one stalwart in there who refused to go along with this resolution, and rightly so? Does anybody know? Well, you have to care, Cheyenne. You just got to be aware of it. You got to know who your enemies are. And if you don't know who your enemies are, you're in danger. Yeah, John DeLiberto Massey. Thomas Massey. He has been the one stalwart voice on so many things. He's made a few little deals that I haven't liked, but by and large, he's in there and he's real strong. And here he did it again this time. He says America should be first. We should have a right to be critical of other people. And I'm going to put it that way too. My being critical of somebody doing something wrong if they're Catholic, doesn't make me an anti-Catholic. Me telling somebody that they're being corrupt and they're Jewish doesn't mean that I'm anti-Semitic. And Zionism is a political movement. It is not a religious movement. Supposedly it's for the gathering of the Jews, but there are a lot of people in Zionism that aren't Jews. And toward Jews, for instance, I've already told you on posts, toward Jews and toward Judaism, both of those, they'll tell you what they're doing with the Zionism is contrary to their faith, to the Jewish faith. Now you'll have Reform Jews you have basically three types of Jewish organizations, right? You have conservative, Reform, and Orthodox. And the Reform people apparently are the ones that are normally Zionists, although you'll get some in the other groups too, but they're also the ones that are the least religious. Most of them are atheistic. I would say that probably Netanyahu is probably a Reform Jew, if he is observant at all, which I doubt. But yeah, so there are several different groups, and there are a lot of these Jews. I think we've actually had like 100,000. I might maybe it's not that many, but thousands of these basically Jewish people that have been out and demonstrating against Zionism and against Israel and what they're doing. Okay, and it affects you here too. I heard, if anybody's got the guts to be able to say it, and there are a few. Scott Ritter's one, and there's some others. We have, and I've complained about it myself. I don't think you should hold any public office, elected or appointed or just employed, if you have double citizenship with another country because you are in a situation where you have a conflict of interest. It's just absolutely true. And so, but they've made it so that, especially with the Israelis, they can hold dual citizenship with America. And we have a lot of people in our government, even in Congress, both the Senate and the House, that have double citizenship. And guess who gives them more money than you do? Their salaries are like $120,000, $150,000, right? That's what you give them. Well, these other interests give them a lot more and access to things. And then, of course, they give up some things for them, which is bad for you and bad for us. One of the things they do, for instance, is this push that anybody who believes that they should, like their race, like I like white people, I mean, certainly, white people, I'm going to stand up for them. I'm not going to say I want them to do anything wrong to anybody, but I like white people, but I'll be called a white supremacist, right? Well, guess who the most racial supremacist people are on the face of the earth right now? I'll bet you, Roosevelt could tell us. Who out there right now, Roosevelt or Jesse, anybody else can say it. Who's the one that really pushes racial purity in their country more than anybody else? More than anybody else. I mean, you have situations in Japan and China where you can't own certain types of property and stuff like that without being Chinese or Japanese. And in other countries, it's even the case in Mexico for that matter. But do any of you know what country is the most racial supremacy organized? Yes, exactly, Roosevelt. It is Israel. It absolutely is Israel. And yet they'll turn around and say, "You guys are white supremacists." See how what they do is they accuse you of what they are, or some rendition thereof, and our people fall all over themselves trying to say, I'm not, I really am not. No, you turn around and you accuse them of their racial supremacy. And they even believe in their literature, if you read it, and I have, you're beasts of the field, and they need to get you off the planet. Sorry. They even said I did a little thing on harem the other day, which is the killing of men, women, and children wholesale. Ukraine, yeah. Ukraine is also very much supremacist. Absolutely, BP Earthwatch. That's exactly right. But of course, Israel is the quintessential one because they claim to be a religious people, right? And then they talk about Jewish supremacy and that they're going to rule the world. So, and I have a particular beef with them because, of course, I've studied them for so long and know that. Yeah, Roosevelt, you're right. Israel shuns the Arab Jews who fled from Iraq and other countries. That's right. And guess what? They also shun the Arab Christians. They'll spit on them in the street, even regular tourists over there. I mean, if you haven't seen what Israelis will do to Christians and Muslims, you need to go watch that. Yeah, exactly, Andy. Accuse your enemy of your own crimes. That's Saul Alinsky. That's a Marxist tactic. Saul Alinsky was the one that kind of really made it come home here. And of course, who was the great follower of Saul Alinsky in our country? The one that everybody knows? Hillary Rodham Clinton, right? Yeah. All right. It's been an hour. I want you to go ahead and get ready for this grand debate. I can't even stand to look at Newsom. You know who he looks like to me? Some things I can't say on YouTube. So we'll call it quits. There's probably some other thing I should talk about, but right now I can't really take the time. I've been blabbering too long. So two things I'll leave you with, then I'll end on my mantra. Go into the previous video on the live tab before this one and see the video there where I talk about a short admonition against women in the military. Please listen to that again if you haven't heard it. I think it's been suppressed. If you haven't heard it, please listen to it. I give you all the reasons why Israel should not have, and the rest of us too, but particularly Israel, who says they're Torah observant, should not have women doing this. And then not just like it, but share it with as many people as you feel that you should. And I would appreciate that because we need to get that word out. And I'd really like it if you would send it to your ministers, your church people, um, you know, rabbis if you have those, and you feel so inclined. Okay, so that's the first thing. Remember to do that when you get off here, please. The other thing is, man, that Heritage Rough Rider 22 for 120 bucks is pretty hard to beat, and everybody should have at least 122. And you can use it for a lot of things. It's not the best self-defense weapon, but it's better than, like I said, fisticuffs or rocks. Okay, unless you're like David and you're really good with a slingshot, right? Okay, and then we'll end on this. Keep your situational awareness on high. Things are getting bad, you know. It's been incremental. They're about ready to start on this next new sickness, right? They want everybody to be, because we're coming up on the election year, so they want everybody to be wrapped up in the sickness. I'm not going to comply at all, and I hope none of you do either. But of course, that's an individual choice. Those kinds of things are coming. And I could talk about a lot of other things, right? They're taking away your First Amendment. They're taking away your Fourth. I mean, you know, you hardly have any Fourth Amendment rights anymore. And of course, the Second Amendment they're hitting on hard. Don't give in. Don't give in. Go out and buy yourself a Heritage Rough Rider 22 and say, stick it, right? Okay. Situational awareness on high, eyes on the horizon, ears to the ground. Prep. Continue to prep. Pray. However you consider God to be, it's better to pray than not. And, of course, my final thing, stay out of the way. Come out of her, my people. Separate yourselves. Stand in the holy place. Holy meaning separate. So it means come out of them. Come out of Babylon that you don't partake in their plagues. We can't all do it completely. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody can do it completely. But make the effort the best you can. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Last word, please go back to that last video, right? Like it and share it, and ask those people that you send it to share it as well. I think this word must get out for a lot of reasons. For one thing, it takes the veil, the cloak off of the Israeli lies, all right, about who they are. Sorry, Israelis, and sorry those Jews who feel differently, but you know, if you want to have a debate about it sometime, invite me to a debate somewhere. Not on YouTube, not on Twitter. That's not going to cut it. You know, if you want to bring me to a place where you know, we can debate in large audiences, I'm game. All right, out here for now. Take care.